When Prime Minister Justin Trudeau took office, he promised to end long-term boil water advisories by 2021. So not all water advisories, just ones that have been in place for more than a year.
We are still very confident that we are going to be able to end the long-term boil water advisories across Indigenous communities in this country within the 5 years we set out.
There were 105 long-term advisories when Trudeau came into office. And right now, according to government data, 56 remain. This data excludes the territories and British Columbia. It also doesn't account for situations where a long-term advisory has been lifted, only to have a new short-term advisory issued within weeks or months. Of the 87 long-term advisories the government says it has lifted to date, 33 of those systems have experienced short-term advisories since. The causes of water advisories varies across the country. Everything from where the water comes from, to the pipes underground, to how remote the community is, can impact how vulnerable it is. For example, facilities relying on surface water, such as a river or a lake, have a higher chance of experiencing water advisories due to the fact that rivers and lakes are more prone to contamination.
We pride ourselves on our high sanitary standards, yet we deliberately make open sewers of our waterways.
Each year, the government assesses public water systems on reserves. It looks at the system's design, how well it's being operated and maintained, its record keeping, the quality of the source water, and operators' qualifications. It then combines all those factors to give the system a score between 1 and 10, 10 being extreme risk.
See, I tend to regard a boil water advisory as the most extreme outcome that you can get. The risk scores can tell you about systems that have problems that are not on boil water advisories yet. So it's just another element of information you can use to get a more complete picture.
That's Matt McLaren. He recently analyzed more than a decade of government data on risk scores for the Globe and Mail. What Matt found is that despite the government's progress on eliminating long-term advisories, the national average of risk scores have not changed that much since 2015.
The risk scores are changing a lot more slowly than the number of boil water advisories that are being eliminated. You know, there's a lot of systems across this country on First Nations reserves that are in poor shape that aren't on a boil water advisory, and the risk scores reflect that. So just because a community doesn't have a boil water advisory doesn't mean that they're happy with their level of water service. They may indeed have very serious problems.
The government has committed more than $2 billion towards water and wastewater infrastructure since 2016. And while there has been progress on lifting advisories, water is just one part of Canada's colonial legacy that has disenfranchised Indigenous people in this country.